The Philosophy of Witchcraft, a macabre analysis of the history, beliefs, and practices of sinister witchcraft from a philosophical lens. Dive into the mystical realms of the Philosophy of Witchcraft, a macabre analysis of the history, beliefs, and practices of sinister witchcraft from a philosophical lens. From the haunting origins and malevolence of spells to the dance with the devil and the echoes of historical witch hunts, each chapter peels back layers of this enigmatic craft. Unveiling psychological dimensions, ethical considerations, and the modern Renaissance, the narrative concludes with an invitation to sip from the eternal cauldron, an enduring symbol of perennial mysteries. This atmospheric and insightful journey invites both seekers and the curious to explore the rich and complex philosophy that defines witchcraft. Chapter 1: The Haunting Origins. Introduction. In the inky depths of history, where shadows dance on the edge of human understanding, the roots of witchcraft slither through the annals of time. The air thickens with an eerie presence, a foreboding that transcends the mundane. This chapter unravels the disquieting tapestry of witchcraft, laying bare the sinister origins that cast a long, haunting shadow over the course of human history. The wicked genesis. Witchcraft, a term pregnant with malevolence, finds its genesis in the enigmatic practices of ancient civilizations. As we peer into the obscured past, a macabre tableau emerges: pagan rites, arcane rituals, and the communion with forces unseen. The first whispers of magic, like an unsettling breeze, rustle through the veil between the mundane and the mystical. The cauldron of shadows. Bubbling beneath the surface of conventional beliefs, the cauldron of witchcraft stirs with an otherworldly potency. These early practitioners, veiled in darkness, found solace in the forbidden and the taboo. The lines between good and evil blurred as they communed with spirits, delving into the realms of the unknown. It is here, amid the incantations and rituals, that the philosophy of witchcraft began to take shape, weaving a narrative fraught with peril and intrigue. The sinister alchemy of time. Through the ages, the malevolence of witchcraft evolved, adapting to the changing tides of societal fears and desires. The alchemy of time transmuted it into a force feared and revered, a clandestine undercurrent shaping the destinies of nations and individuals alike. This chapter navigates the arcane corridors of history, shedding light on the alchemical transformations that sculpted witchcraft into a potent elixir of fear and fascination. The looming shadow. As we delve deeper into the annals of time, the looming shadow of witchcraft grows more palpable. It is a specter haunting the collective consciousness of humanity, leaving an indelible mark on the way we perceive the unknown. In the dark recesses of the past, the roots of witchcraft snake through superstitions, folklore, and ancient wisdom, setting the stage for a philosophical exploration that transcends the boundaries of reason and ventures into the realm of the inexplicable. Conclusion. This journey into the haunting origins of witchcraft lays the foundation for a philosophical odyssey that seeks to unravel the threads of fear, fascination, and the enigmatic allure of the craft. As we traverse the dimly lit corridors of history, the echoes of ancient incantations reverberate, setting the stage for a critical examination of the philosophy that underpins the shadowy world of witchcraft. The cauldron simmers, and the journey into the depths of darkness has only just begun. Chapter 2: The Cauldron of Beliefs. Witchcraft as a manifestation of the unseen. As we plunge deeper into the abyss of witchcraft, we find ourselves ensnared in the intricate web of beliefs that form the very fabric of this mystical philosophy. Witchcraft is more than a mere series of rituals, it is a manifestation of the unseen, an exploration of the thin veil between the material and spiritual realms. In this chapter, we unfurl the layers of magical thought that give rise to the cauldron of beliefs within the witch's worldview. The enigmatic dance of realms. In the heart of witchcraft lies a profound belief in the interconnectedness of realms. The practitioner, with eyes wide open to the mystical, dances between the material and the ethereal. The belief in unseen forces, spirits, and energies becomes the warp and weft of the witch's reality, creating a tapestry woven with threads of the supernatural. It is in this dance of realms that the true essence of witchcraft emerges, casting a spell that transcends the boundaries of the known. Evolution of magical thought. The roots of magical thought run deep, intertwining with ancient wisdom, folklore, and esoteric traditions. From the cunning folk of medieval Europe to the wise women of indigenous cultures, the evolution of magical thought shaped the philosophical underpinnings of witchcraft. This chapter unravels the historical threads, tracing the metamorphosis of magical beliefs through the ages, and explores how these beliefs continue to resonate in contemporary witchcraft. The symbolism of tools and rituals. Within the cauldron of beliefs, the tools and rituals of witchcraft emerge as symbolic conduits to the unseen. From the athame that cuts through the veil to the cauldron that simmers with transformative energies, each tool carries layers of meaning and significance. Rituals, whether elaborate ceremonies or simple spells, become the language through which the practitioner communicates with the forces that dwell beyond the perceivable. Philosophical implications of magical realism. As we delve into the mystical heart of witchcraft, we confront the philosophical implications of embracing magical realism. The blurring of boundaries between the tangible and the intangible challenges conventional notions of reality, inviting us to question the nature of existence itself. What does it mean to live in a world where the unseen holds sway, and how does this perception shape the witch's understanding of self, others, and the cosmos? Conclusion. The cauldron of beliefs in witchcraft boils with a concoction of ancient wisdom, esoteric traditions, and a profound connection to the unseen. As we emerge from the depths of this chapter, the philosophical foundations of witchcraft begin to take shape, revealing a worldview that dances on the edge of reality and fantasy. The witch's journey is not just a physical one, but a metaphysical odyssey through realms both known and unknown. The cauldron simmers, and the philosophical exploration continues. Chapter 3: The Malevolence of Spells. Casting shadows with incantations. In the eldritch landscape of witchcraft, the malevolence of spells weaves a dark tapestry that shrouds practitioners in an aura of mystique and dread. Incantations, whispered with reverence and authority, become the conduits through which witches channel their magical intent. This chapter delves into the heart of spellcasting, exploring the nuances, ethical considerations, and the potent power that emanates from the words that echo through the corridors of the mystical. The art of hexing. At the heart of spellcasting lies the art of hexing, the deliberate act of infusing words with malevolent energy to bring about change. The witch, wielding the power of incantations like a sorcerer with a wand, navigates the delicate balance between manipulation and manifestation. The ethical implications of hexing, whether for personal gain, justice, or revenge, become a moral crucible that tests the boundaries of magical practice. From charms to curses, the spectrum of spellwork. As we journey through the shadowy realms of witchcraft, we encounter a spectrum of spellwork that ranges from benevolent charms to malevolent curses. Each incantation, like a brushstroke on a canvas, paints a picture of the witch's intent. Exploring this spectrum, we confront the question of morality in the manipulation of energies to influence events, people, and destinies. The metaphysics of spell efficacy. The effectiveness of spells hinges not only on the skill of the practitioner but also on the intricate web of metaphysical connections that bind the spellcaster to the intended outcome. This chapter probes the metaphysical dimensions of spell efficacy, examining the interplay between belief, energy manipulation, and the inherent power of words to shape reality. How does the witch's mindset influence the success of a spell, and what role does the collective consciousness play in the manifestation of magical intent? Magical language and symbolism. In the realm of spellcasting, language becomes a magical tool in itself, and symbolism takes on profound significance. Unraveling the linguistic and symbolic threads woven into spells, we explore the archaic languages, chants, and sigils that amplify the potency of incantations. The symbiotic relationship between words and symbols creates a rich tapestry of meaning, transcending the literal and delving into the realms of the esoteric. The price of power, ethical considerations. As we peer into the cauldron of spellcasting, ethical considerations emerge like spectral shadows. What is the price of wielding magical power, and how does the intent behind a spell shape the moral compass of the practitioner? This chapter confronts the ethical dilemmas that accompany the practice of witchcraft, exploring the fine line between personal empowerment and the potential harm that may befall others. Conclusion. The malevolence of spells, with its intricate dance of words, intent, and metaphysical forces, defines the very essence of witchcraft. As we navigate the dark waters of this chapter, the philosophical underpinnings of spellcasting begin to surface, raising questions about power, responsibility, and the eternal dance between light and shadow within the craft. The cauldron continues to bubble, and the journey through the philosophical abyss of witchcraft unfolds. Chapter 4, Dance with the Devil. Pacts, Possession, and Forbidden Alliances. In the cryptic corridors of witchcraft, practitioners have long been enticed by the prospect of forming unholy alliances with supernatural entities. This chapter unfurls the dark tapestry of pacts, possession, and forbidden alliances that cast a sinister hue over the philosophical landscape of the craft. Infernal contracts, pacts with the otherworldly. The lore of witchcraft is replete with tales of witches striking infernal bargains with entities from realms beyond. The notion of making pacts with the otherworldly, be they demons, spirits, or deities, adds a layer of complexity to the philosophical fabric of witchcraft. This chapter explores the motivations, implications, and perceived benefits of such contracts, delving into the age-old dance between mortals and the infernal. Possession and the ego's demise. The specter of possession, a haunting motif in the history of witchcraft, manifests as a phenomenon that blurs the boundaries between self and otherworldly entities. Delving into the psychological and metaphysical dimensions of possession, we unravel the implications of relinquishing one's agency in exchange for supernatural powers. The delicate dance between selfhood and possession becomes a nuanced exploration of the ego's demise in the pursuit of arcane knowledge. The forbidden allure of dark companionship. For witches, the allure of forbidden alliances extends beyond mere pacts and possession. It encompasses the forging of bonds with dark companions. Familiars, spectral entities, or otherworldly beings serve as both guides and confidants in the witch's journey. This chapter explores the symbiotic relationships between witches and their dark companions, scrutinizing the philosophical implications of forming connections with entities from the shadowed realms. Psychological ramifications of unholy alliances. As we peer into the forbidden territories of witchcraft, we confront the psychological ramifications of unholy alliances. The fragility of the human psyche, when subjected to the influences of the supernatural, becomes a crucible that shapes the witch's identity. This exploration delves into the blurred boundaries between sanity and madness, unraveling the intricate tapestry of the human mind under the influence of forbidden knowledge and companionship. The duality of forbidden power. Within the dance with the devil, a dual nature emerges, the simultaneous allure and repulsion of forbidden power. This chapter navigates the intricate philosophical landscape of embracing darkness, questioning the dichotomy between good and evil. The pursuit of forbidden knowledge and supernatural companionship invites us to contemplate the nature of morality, challenging preconceived notions and casting a shadow over conventional ethical frameworks. Conclusion. The Dance with the Devil, with its intertwining themes of pacts, possession, and forbidden alliances, beckons us into the heart of the witch's struggle with the otherworldly. As we emerge from the shadows of this chapter, the philosophical contours of witchcraft become more enigmatic, inviting us to ponder the delicate balance between seeking forbidden knowledge and succumbing to the perils that lurk in the abyss. The cauldron simmers, and the dance continues in the darkened recesses of the craft. Chapter 5, The Witch Hunt Chronicles. Society's Paranoia and Persecution. The annals of history are marred by a dark chapter known as the witch hunts, a period when paranoia, superstition, and religious fervor converged to unleash a reign of terror upon those accused of practicing witchcraft. This chapter meticulously unravels the historical tapestry of the Witch Hunt Chronicles, examining the societal dynamics that fueled the persecution and the lasting impact on the philosophy of witchcraft. The seeds of hysteria. The Witch Hunt Chronicles find their roots in the fertile soil of societal fear and anxiety. This section explores the political, religious, and cultural factors that cultivated an environment conducive to the eruption of hysteria. From the bubbling cauldron of medieval Europe to the shores of colonial America, the seeds of paranoia took root, paving the way for an unprecedented persecution of those accused of witchcraft. The anatomy of accusations. As the flames of fear licked at the edges of society, Accusations of witchcraft became a weapon wielded by the fearful against the perceived threat of the supernatural. This part of the chapter dissects the anatomy of accusations, scrutinizing the motivations behind pointing fingers and the societal mechanisms that allowed suspicion to metastasize into a full-blown epidemic of persecution. The tragic tales of the accused. The witch hunt chronicles are etched with the tragic tales of individuals, predominantly women, who became the scapegoats of societal fears. We delve into the personal stories of the accused, examining the harrowing trials, confessions extracted under torture, and the gruesome executions that marked this period. Each narrative unveils the human cost of the witch hunts and the profound impact on the philosophical underpinnings of witchcraft. The witch as the other, a symbolic scapegoat. Central to the witch hunt chronicles is the concept of the witch as the other, an embodiment of societal anxieties, a symbol of rebellion against the established order. This section explores the symbolism of the witch as a scapegoat, an entity to be vilified and eradicated to restore a perceived moral equilibrium. The philosophical implications of casting witches as the other linger, leaving a stain on the collective consciousness. The pervasive legacy of the witch hunts. Though the flames of the witch hunts eventually flickered out, their legacy endured, seeping into the cultural psyche and shaping the perception of witchcraft for centuries to come. This part of the chapter examines how the witch hunt chronicles left an indelible mark on the philosophy of witchcraft, influencing the perceptions of practitioners and society alike. Conclusion. The witch hunt chronicles, with their tales of paranoia, persecution, and the tragic fates of the accused, cast a long, dark shadow over the history of witchcraft. As we emerge from the pages of this chapter, the philosophical echoes of this dark period linger, inviting contemplation on the fragility of reason, the consequences of unchecked fear, and the enduring struggle of witchcraft to reclaim its identity in the face of historical persecution. The cauldron simmers, and the haunting echoes of the past continue to shape the philosophy of the craft. Chapter 6, Cauldron of the Mind. Psychological dimensions of witchcraft. In the mystical labyrinth of witchcraft, the cauldron of the mind simmers with psychological dimensions that blur the line between the rational and the arcane. This chapter unravels the intricacies of the witch's psyche, exploring the psychological dimensions that shape beliefs, rituals, and the very essence of the craft. Archetypes and the collective unconscious. At the heart of the witch's mind lies a tapestry woven with archetypes, symbols, and collective unconscious elements. This section delves into the psychological underpinnings of witchcraft, examining how archetypes such as the witch, the magician, and the wise woman resonate within the collective unconscious. The interplay between personal and archetypal symbols becomes a canvas on which the witch paints her magical identity. The shadow self and transformation. The concept of the shadow self, a fundamental element of Jungian psychology, takes center stage in the cauldron of the mind. The witch, like an alchemist of the soul, confronts and integrates her own darkness. This exploration examines the transformative journey of acknowledging and embracing the shadow self, unraveling the psychological metamorphosis that occurs within the crucible of magical practice. Rituals as psychodrama. Rituals within witchcraft emerge as psychodramas that facilitate a deeper connection with the subconscious. This part of the chapter scrutinizes the psychological aspects of ritualistic practices, exploring how symbolic acts and gestures become vehicles for expressing and channeling the witch's innermost thoughts, desires, and fears. The theater of the ritual becomes a stage upon which the psyche is laid bare. Alchemy of the mind, transmutation and self-discovery. In the cauldron of the mind, the alchemy of witchcraft unfolds as a process of transmutation and self-discovery. The practitioner embarks on a quest to transmute the base elements of the psyche into spiritual gold. This section explores the psychological dynamics of this alchemical journey, shedding light on how the crucible of witchcraft becomes a vessel for personal transformation and enlightenment. Metaphor and symbolism in magical thinking. Magical thinking, rich with metaphor and symbolism, permeates the cognitive landscape of the witch. This part of the chapter examines how metaphorical reasoning and symbolic thought become integral to the witch's worldview. The intricate dance between literal and symbolic interpretation shapes the philosophical foundations of witchcraft, infusing everyday life with layers of mystical meaning. The fragile line between madness and mysticism. As we delve deeper into the cauldron of the mind, we confront the fragile line between madness and mysticism, the unconventional beliefs and practices of witchcraft, viewed through the lens of societal norms, have often been labeled as aberrant or insane. This exploration delves into the complex interplay between unconventional spirituality, mental health, and the societal perceptions that have historically cast witches as outsiders. Conclusion. The cauldron of the mind, with its psychological dimensions and alchemical transformations, forms the crucible in which the philosophy of witchcraft is forged. As we emerge from this chapter, the interwoven threads of archetypes, the shadow self, ritualistic psychodrama, and the alchemy of the mind invite us to contemplate the profound and intimate relationship between the psychological and the magical within the craft. The cauldron simmers, and the journey through the enigmatic realms of the witch's mind continues. Chapter 7, The Ethics of Hexing. Moral Dilemmas in the Craft. Within the mystical tapestry of witchcraft, ethical considerations form a complex and intricate pattern, particularly when it comes to the act of hexing. This chapter ventures into the heart of moral dilemmas in the craft, exploring the philosophical underpinnings of hexes, curses, and the ethical landscape that surrounds the use of magical power. Hexes and curses, instruments of retribution. Hexes and curses, like double-edged blades, cut through the philosophical fabric of witchcraft. This section delves into the motivations behind wielding magical power for retribution and justice. The witch, faced with perceived wrongs, grapples with the ethical implications of using spells to mete out punishment. The philosophical quandaries that arise speak to the delicate balance between justice and revenge, self-defense and the magical morality code. As we navigate the ethical terrain of witchcraft, the concept of self-defense emerges as a cornerstone of the magical morality code. The chapter examines how witches grapple with the fine line between protecting oneself and using magic as a weapon. The interplay between personal empowerment, justified defense, and the potential harm inflicted upon others becomes a focal point for exploring the ethical complexities of hexing. The ripple effect of hexing. Beyond the immediate consequences, hexing initiates a ripple effect that reverberates through the interconnected web of reality. This part of the chapter delves into the philosophical implications of the ripple effect, exploring how the energies set in motion by a hex may impact not only the target but also the practitioner. The karmic threads that bind the witch to her actions become a central theme, inviting contemplation on the cyclical nature of magical morality. The curse of unintended consequences. In the cauldron of ethical considerations, unintended consequences emerge as a specter that haunts the practitioner. This section examines how the unpredictable nature of magical workings introduces an element of risk and uncertainty. The ethical responsibility of the witch extends beyond the initial act, challenging her to confront the potential collateral damage that may arise from the unleashing of magical forces. Hexing and the collective morality. As we explore the ethics of hexing, we confront the intersection of individual morality and the collective moral compass. The societal norms that influence perceptions of right and wrong cast a shadow over the craft. This part of the chapter scrutinizes the tensions between personal autonomy and societal expectations, raising questions about the fluid nature of ethical standards within the diverse tapestry of witchcraft. Redemption and healing, the antidote to malevolence. Amid the ethical complexities of hexing, the chapter explores the redemptive potential within witchcraft. Healing, both for the practitioner and the target, becomes a counterpoint to malevolence. This section examines how the ethical landscape of the craft accommodates the pursuit of balance and restoration, offering a nuanced understanding of the roles of harm and healing within the mystical framework. Conclusion. The ethics of hexing, with its moral dilemmas and philosophical complexities, encapsulate the nuanced nature of witchcraft. As we emerge from the depths of this chapter, the cauldron of ethical considerations continues to bubble, inviting practitioners to navigate the delicate dance between empowerment and responsibility, justice and retribution. The journey through the ethical realms of the craft persists, guided by the ever-present question, what price does the witch pay for the wielding of magical power? Chapter 8, Beyond the Broomstick. Modern witchcraft and its philosophical rebirth. As the cauldron of time continues to bubble, modern witchcraft emerges from the shadows, undergoing a philosophical rebirth that transcends traditional narratives. This chapter explores the resurgence of witchcraft in contemporary culture, examining the intersections of feminism, spirituality, and the evolving philosophy of the craft in the 21st century. The Witch's Renaissance. In the modern era, a renaissance of witchcraft unfolds, marked by a resurgence of interest, acceptance, and empowerment. This section delves into the cultural and societal shifts that have catalyzed the revival of witchcraft. From the empowerment of marginalized communities to a broader acceptance of diverse spiritualities, the Witch's Renaissance sets the stage for a profound re-examination of the craft's philosophy. Feminism and the witch's liberation. At the heart of modern witchcraft lies a powerful synergy with feminist ideologies. This part of the chapter explores how the craft becomes a symbol of women's empowerment, challenging historical narratives that vilified female mystics. The intersection of feminism and witchcraft forms a crucible in which the philosophy of the craft evolves, embracing themes of autonomy, equality, and the reclamation of feminine power. Beyond rituals, the everyday witch. In the contemporary landscape, witchcraft transcends ritualistic practices to become an integral part of everyday life. This section examines how modern witches weave their craft into mundane activities, blurring the boundaries between the sacred and the ordinary. The everyday witch embodies a philosophy that emphasizes the fluidity of magical consciousness and the integration of mystical principles into daily living. Spirituality in a secular age. As society navigates an increasingly secular age, spirituality takes on new dimensions within witchcraft. This part of the chapter explores the philosophical implications of practicing a spiritual craft in a world often dominated by rationality and materialism. The witch, as a spiritual seeker, engages with the divine, the natural world, and the inner self, redefining the boundaries between the sacred and the profane. Eclecticism and the pluralistic craft. Modern witchcraft embraces eclecticism, drawing inspiration from a diverse array of traditions, cultures, and spiritual practices. This section delves into the philosophical implications of a pluralistic craft, where practitioners forge their own unique paths. The evolving landscape of witchcraft reflects a philosophy that celebrates diversity, inclusivity, and the freedom to explore a myriad of mystical traditions. Technology and the digital grimoire. In an era dominated by technology, the craft undergoes a transformation as the digital grimoire becomes a repository of knowledge, community, and magical exchange. This part of the chapter explores the impact of technology on the philosophy of witchcraft, examining how online communities, virtual covens, and digital resources shape the modern practitioner's understanding of the craft. Conclusion. As we navigate the contemporary currents of witchcraft, the philosophy of the craft undergoes a profound transformation. The witch's renaissance, fueled by feminism, spirituality, and the integration of magic into daily life, paints a new portrait of the modern witch. As we emerge from the realms of this chapter, the cauldron of contemporary witchcraft continues to simmer, inviting practitioners to explore, question, and contribute to the ever-evolving philosophy that shapes the craft in the 21st century. Chapter 9, The Veil of Mystery. Unraveling the Enigma of Witchcraft. In the twilight realms of witchcraft, the final chapter beckons us to unravel the enigma that shrouds the philosophy of the craft. As we peel back the layers of history, beliefs, and practices, the veiled mysteries of witchcraft come into sharper focus. This chapter serves as a culmination, summarizing key philosophical elements and leaving readers with a lingering sense of the mystical and the unknown. The essence of witchcraft, a summation. As we reflect on the journey through the preceding chapters, this section serves as a summation of the essence of witchcraft. From its haunting origins and the cauldron of beliefs to the malevolence of spells, the dance with the devil, and the haunting echoes of the witch hunts, the philosophical tapestry of the craft takes shape. The essence of witchcraft emerges as a multifaceted blend of history, spirituality, and the human quest for meaning. The cauldron of mind and the alchemy of self. Central to the philosophy of witchcraft is the cauldron of the mind, where psychological dimensions and the alchemy of self transmute the practitioner into a mystical seeker. This part of the chapter revisits the exploration of the witch's psyche, contemplating how the craft serves as a transformative journey, an odyssey into the depths of consciousness. Ethical considerations, the heartbeat of the craft. Ethics, as explored in the chapters on hexing and the witch's liberation, pulse as the heartbeat of the craft. This section revisits the ethical complexities of witchcraft, emphasizing the nuanced interplay between personal empowerment, responsibility, and the delicate dance between justice and retribution. The craft's ethical landscape becomes a touchstone for understanding the evolving philosophy within the cauldron of time. The modern witch, a symbol of evolution. As we gaze into the contemporary reflections of witchcraft, the modern witch emerges as a symbol of evolution. This part of the chapter re-examines the witch's renaissance, feminism, everyday practices, and the integration of technology, encapsulating the diverse and dynamic nature of the modern practitioner. The witch, both ancient and modern, becomes a living testament to the adaptability and resilience of the craft. Veiled wisdom and the unending journey. The mysteries of witchcraft, veiled in symbols, rituals, and the intangible, persist as a wellspring of wisdom waiting to be unraveled. This section invites readers to contemplate the enduring allure of the craft, acknowledging that the journey into the unknown is unending. The veiled wisdom of witchcraft becomes an ever-present guide, inviting seekers to explore the depths of their own beliefs and the mysteries that linger beyond the veil. The lingerings of mystery, a closing invitation. As the final notes of the chapter resonate, readers are left with a lingering invitation. The mysteries of witchcraft persist, forever shrouded in the enigmatic atmosphere that permeates its history, beliefs, and practices. The closing words serve as an invitation to continue the exploration, to delve deeper into the shadows, and to embrace the enduring mystery that defines the philosophy of witchcraft. Conclusion, the eternal cauldron. The journey through the philosophy of witchcraft concludes, leaving us with a sense of the eternal cauldron, a vessel that contains the rich and ever-evolving essence of the craft. As we step away from the pages, the echoes of history, the whispers of spells, the dance with the devil, the haunting memories of the witch hunts, the cauldron of the mind, the ethical considerations, the modern renaissance, and the lingering mysteries resonate. The philosophy of witchcraft remains a potent elixir, inviting those who dare to sip from its depths into an eternal, enigmatic dance with the unknown. The cauldron continues to simmer, and the journey into the philosophy of witchcraft is, ultimately, a journey into the perennial mysteries that defy explanation and beckon the curious to explore the realms of the mystical and the arcane. Conclusion, the eternal cauldron. The philosophy of witchcraft, like a cauldron that has simmered through the ages, yields a rich and complex brew of history, beliefs, and practices. As we step away from the pages of this exploration, we find ourselves enveloped in the lingering echoes of incantations, the shadows of ancient rituals, and the haunting memories of a history marked by persecution and resurgence. The journey through the chapters, from the haunting origins to the modern Renaissance, has uncovered the intricate tapestry that weaves together the philosophy of witchcraft, the cauldron of beliefs, spells, malevolence, forbidden alliances, societal paranoia, psychological dimensions, ethical considerations, and the mysteries that persist like an eternal flame has been a conduit to a realm where the known and unknown dance in an unending spiral. The witch, a symbol of empowerment, rebellion, and spiritual exploration, emerges as a central figure in this philosophical odyssey. The cauldron of the mind, where archetypes, shadows, and personal alchemy collide, becomes a crucible of self-discovery and transformation. Ethical considerations, as a heartbeat, resonate throughout the craft, guiding practitioners through the delicate dance between power and responsibility. In the modern era, witchcraft experiences a rebirth that transcends stereotypes and embraces diversity. The everyday witch, shaped by feminism, spirituality, and technology, blurs the lines between the sacred and the mundane. The philosophy of witchcraft, once hidden in the shadows, now stands at the crossroads of tradition and innovation, beckoning seekers to explore its depths. As we conclude this journey into the philosophy of witchcraft, the cauldron continues to simmer, inviting us to reflect on the enduring mysteries that linger beyond explanation. The craft remains a living, breathing entity, a source of wisdom that defies easy categorization. The eternal cauldron, with its alchemical transformations and timeless mysteries, invites those who dare to sip from its depths into an ongoing dance with the mystical and the arcane. May the echoes of this exploration resonate in the minds of readers, stirring their curiosity, and inspiring a continued journey into the depths of the eternal cauldron, a journey where the philosophy of witchcraft reveals its perennial wisdom, forever enigmatic, forever beckoning.